If you've been finding it difficult to make a well-cropped corset just like this, then this tutorial is for you. Alright, so there are different methods of making a cropped corset, and today I'll be sharing one of the simplest method of making a well-cropped corset. You can see how structured the cup is. So if it's something you would like to learn how to make, then keep watching, and if you, at the end of this video, you find it helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. So on this part, I have my starting line, which I'll be referring to as my shoulder line, and from there I'm going to take half of my shoulder measurement, which is about 7.5 inches, and I'm going to mark. Then the neck width for this project is 3 inches, and the neck depth we are using is 3.3 inches as well. So I'm going to make a curve. So the next thing I need to do is to insert my shoulder slope. So for my shoulder slope, I'm making use of 1.5 inches for the front, and for the back I'm making use of just 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going to connect it all the way to the neck width. Next thing I'm going to do is to divide my armhole by 2, and whatsoever I have, I'm going to insert it somewhere there. And on this part, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement, which is exactly what I have here. Then I'm going to insert my bust circumference divided by 4. Whatsoever I have, I'm going to mark it right there. Then I'm going to just connect using a pen. So once I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is to get the midpoint of this line. So this is the midpoint of it. Then I'm coming in here by 1 inch in order to get my armhole curve. So I'm going to connect this point to this and then to this shoulder slope. Alright, so as soon as I'm done with my armhole curve, the next thing I'm going to insert is my measurement from my shoulder to my bust point line, which is about 10 inches, and the next is from my shoulder to my under bust point line, which is about 13 inches. Then from my shoulder to my waistline, that's my half length, I have about 16 inches. Then the length of my hip, that's about 24 inches from my shoulder. Then the length of the corset we are making, and you can take between 4 to 5 inches, it all depends on what you want. Okay, so I'll be going with 5 inches, and I have it 21, so I'm going to go ahead and extend this line. Alright, so I've extended the line, and I went ahead to label the bust point line, under bust point line, waistline, the corset line length, and this is my hip line. So the next thing I need to do is to take my bust span measurements, that's my nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2, and my nipple to nipple measurement is about 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5, so I'm going to mark 3.5 all the way to the hip line and connect it using a faint pen. Alright, so once I'm done connecting from the bust point to the waistline, the next thing I need to do is to impute the bust bridge. So from here, I'm coming in here by just half an inch. This is half an inch, and I also have half an inch under the bust area. You can extend this up maybe 1 inch up. Then I'm going to square a line over there. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is to impute our that measurement, and to do that we are using total that of 2.5 inches, and to do that I'm going to take just 1 inch here. Then on this part I'm going to take 1.5 inches here, making it total of 2.5 inches. It depends on your bust measurement or the bust measurement you are working with. So I'm going to come down here by half an inch and connect to the bust point, to this point where I marked. Then I'm going to flip over to this other side and do the same thing as well. Alright, so after this, the next thing I'm going to do is to extend this, and what we have here is total of 2.5 inches, and we don't want the dart leg to be straight, we want it kind of slanted. So on this my hip line, I'm going to just mark 1 inch. This is 1 inch, and I'm taking just 2 inches here. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect to this point. So the next thing I'm going to do is to make a curve here. Then on this part, I'm going to measure what I have here. So what I have here is about 3 inches, and on this part I'm going to add 1 inch to it to make it 4 inches. So this is 4 inches, but before I do that, I'll have to impute side dart over here. So I'm going to take the difference between my front half length and my back half length, and I'm going to share it between these two parts. You can just as well leave it as one, but I want to share it between these two parts. So I'm going to take just ½ inch from here and ½ inch from here. Then if your bust is that big, you can go ahead and extend it more. Just take the difference between your front half length and your back half length. So I'm going to just go ahead and connect to like 1 inch before my nipple point. Then on this part you can take just ½ inch because the bust is fuller at the side. So I'm going to take 0.25 inches on this side, and I'm going to connect it as well. Alright, so at this point I'm going to try and cover up this part and make a curve here. So on this part where I have 4 inches, so this is my 4 inches, I want my curve to be there. Alright, so I've been able to close off the dart and I retook my measurement. So this is where we have the 4 inches. So I'm going to hold it down, then place my curve right here and connect it straight to the armhole. So this depends on the design you're working with, okay? So this particular design we are working with, it requires connecting to the armhole, but if you're making your own design and it doesn't require getting to the armhole, you can actually come down by 1 inch and stop right there, and you get your yoke from this other side. Okay, so this is what we have. So for the upper part, I'm going to close up this part and determine how I want the plunge neckline to, how deep I want the plunge neckline to be. So I can extend this from here by just ½ inch or 1 inch. Okay, then I'm going to connect it to this part where I have half of the armhole measurement. All right, so I'm going to extend this a bit, then I'm going to connect it towards this way. So it's actually like 1/2 inch away from this line. So just make sure to blend yours very well. Then the yoke is actually going to start from here. Okay, so this is where the yoke will start from. So at this point, the next thing I need to do is to impute my measurement. My waist measurement is about 32 inches, and we want to divide it by 4, and when divided by 4 we have about 8 inches. So this is 8 inches. Then I'm going to take the measurement of what I have here. I have about 2.25 inches. So I'm going to impute that 2.25 inches here. Now you determine how snatched you want your waist to be. I want to reduce my waist from 32 inches to 28 inches. So I'll be removing 1 inch from this particular block, and I'll be doing the same to the back. So I'm going to remove 1 inch from here, and that's fine. So on this hip line, I'm going to take my hip measurement, which is about 10.5 inches. Then this that we took out, which is about 2 inches, I'm going to replace it over there. All right, so the next thing I need to do now is to fold up this part, and to do that you can open up. All right, so I've been able to hold it down. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to make a very nice curve connecting from my armhole to my waistline and to my hip line. So you can actually come in here by 0.25 inches. So this is 0.25 inches. So, and when you're drafting the back pattern, you deduct the 0.25 inches from the armhole. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and connect it. You can stop like one half inch to 1 inch before the waistline. Then at this point you just blend it, because the waistline is not all that sharp. Just blend it. All right, so at this point the next thing we need to do is to impute another boning channel, and to do that I'm going to measure from here. I'm going to measure 2 inches or 3 inches, depends on how you want your boning channel. All right, so I've gone ahead to mark this side that is going out, and I marked 2 inches from here to this point, and I'm going to connect it all the way to all right, so this is going to be another boning channel. You can insert multiple boning channels, like it all depends on you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and extend this corset line. So on this part where I have my corset line, I'm going to move up just by 1 inch. Then if you want to have a conical effect, you can go ahead and extend this part. So but I'll be going with this. Then I'm going to go ahead and just connect it to this dart line that we have, to give it a very nice curve over there. So but if you want a basque effect, you can just go ahead and extend it. You can just come down here by 1 inch, and that's all for this. So let me go ahead and cut out what we have and get back to you. All right, so remember to extend this dart over to this side, just half an inch, and when you are done, this part will be reduced by just half an inch. Okay, it will be reduced by half an inch, and that's okay. All right, so I've been able to gum this part together, and this is what we have. Then on this part you indicate the side that is going to the nipple point, then also indicate the nipple point on this particular one, and if you'll be needing the yoke, this is what you have. All right, so after folding the tape, this is what we have. You can see how well cupped it is. So when you place it like this, you have a well cupped corset top. And without wasting much time, let's draft the back pattern. Okay, so if at this point you find these tutorials helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. All right, so for the back pattern, you just need to bring this front pattern and place on a fresh pattern paper. Then you are going to connect. You determine how deep you want it to be and how curvy you want your back to be. Just trace out this part. Okay, it's just going to guide you. So after that, I'm going to just go ahead and cut out what we have here. Then at this point, you can determine how wide you want your back area to be, how wide you want the opening. Then you go ahead and impute. So I'll be using 2 inches at this point. Then at this point I'll be using just 1 inch. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect the lines together. So once you're done with that, you are going to impute channels for your boning. Just determine how you want it and just insert. Okay, so on this part I'll be putting eyelets. Then I'll be cutting out this part, and that's basically it for this tutorials. So if you find it helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. However, if you want to have yoke just like this other design, so if you want to attach yoke to yours, then you are going to draft a full block of the back bodies. Okay, so